The time has come, everyone, for a new installment of Galactic History 2.0. I, Andrew Bartzis, the Galactic Historian, along with Andre Hodge, have come together with a new formulation, a new permutation that has permeated the reality. We are now going to be bringing you information, hours upon hours upon hours, that will take the existing Galactic History 1.0 and take it to the next level, just like when you have Internet, Web 2.0. We're going to be unpacking and uncoding all sorts of new data points, all sorts of new concepts for you to take in, just like you did in the Galactic History. So right now, Andre, let's talk about what we recorded so we can get people an idea, wet their whistle of what's coming.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew, and thank you for the opportunity to have a lot of fun and be naughty with you for the last few years. And I think for me, this is a bit like like a honey badger called MacGyver right now, because we're sort of escaping out of the perception and all sorts of things. And the honey badger has been a bit of a thing of us lately because it just escapes basically. So
The honey badger don't care.
yeah, this is the
And we've reached a point in over the last 3.5 years. We've done a bunch of private recordings that some of them just the reality wasn't ready for it. Like in early December and January, we did a bunch of recordings on the coronavirus, and I had said to you, the world just isn't ready for it. But now that people are on lockdown and it's becoming more self-evident, even though we're still in the violent opposition and the ridiculing stage, now is the time to do a data dump of this massive style. Similar to Galactic History 1, but we're going to go many-fold. We're going to be having some very in-depth conversations on the nature of how this reality works, the nature of life itself. And some of the conversations we had, Andre, have gone very, very in-depth into in-world actions like the death of Soleimani, the attack on the Saudi Arabian oil fields, and how it had a very large multidimensional faction behind it that was driving forward something. At the same time, the coronavirus was...
are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. I also don't think it's just us talking, mate. I think we've actually taken a lot of ownership of components of the reality, which um, even many of the advanced people would actually probably stumble over. As in, yeah, this sort of, if we backtrack a little bit, this, and just been talking with Andrew before, it's to me, Galactic History 2.0 was never going to happen. And if anything, um, Andrew's been stepping back from the galactic history sort of perspective since 2017 because from his perspective, um, it's more or less been an instant gratification sort of trigger for people when they're hearing how vast and incredible they are and stuff, and they get that, and then they go back to what they were, and they're not stepping up or doing the healing. So his actually focus since back then has been with the collars and stuff. It's going to the jugular of what's the most important thing right now. Him as a Akashic reader, he's been doing his equation, and the time that an individual might have with him, it's maybe the only time they'll ever have it. And so from his equation perspective, he's looking at the most I offering to realize the most potential in an individual, and it's probably not what they want to hear. So he's taking a
It's not here for your curiosity learning. It's here for your reality-based learning of what it takes for you to evolve as a soul. I get asked so many times, what's my purpose? And you've heard me say in the background, if you really don't know what your purpose is, you aren't really doing any inner work. And having done thousands upon thousands upon thousands of calls where so many people are actually just plain curious, and they don't have the enthusiastic effort to learn who they really are through their own self-examination. And part of the Galactic History teachings, the whole point of putting it out was to show you how expansive a being you are, and that anyone can do what I do if you put your mind to it. But ultimately, so many people wanted somebody else to do it because there's so many other channelers. There's this and people that say that, and this guy and that guy and that guy and this guy who all are saying, you know, this and this and this is going to happen. And yet what I've been saying for so long is nothing was going to happen to see, say, people in the same scale and size of the 1960s and 70s now. And when you see people out in the coronavirus or locked inside the coronavirus, okay, why weren't people ready for it? Ultimately, it's the nature of curiosity learning, and that many people who believe themselves to be investigators and researchers really weren't. They were getting their YouTube PhDs in watching videos. They weren't true researchers. True researchers, I can tell right away. Curiosity learners, they're the ones that listen to it, and they know that there's a form of truth to it, but they don't do anything with it. And that was why Galactic History 2.0 was never going to be. I'd already done 180 freaking hours of it. How much more did I really need to do? That people were going to actually use, not as a reference in modern, you know, conspiracy canon. Because everything that I do is there's no equivalent out there in history right now, out there in the groups.
Yeah.
Okay? Nothing is equivalent to it. You know, people try to say, you're like the wing makers. No, I'm not. I'm not hidden in 34 rooms inside a mountain. My material is nothing like the wing makers. But those are people who listen to one or two episodes and make a judgment. And then there are the people that have been listening for a long time and begin advanced pattern recognition. And just a couple weeks ago, Andre and I had a moment in which an artificial intelligence being made an oopsie. It had what we call a fat finger moment. Okay, that's when a trader in a trading room adds an extra zero and hits trade. And instead of $1 million trade, it's $1 billion trade. Okay, so he made a significant mistake, and it triggered us into the reality is ready now. And it's time that we put this out there, and no matter how many years it takes for people to process the information, each and every one will process it at their own pace.
Yeah. I was in. I'm a My presence around Andrew is because I'm a student of what he teaches, and it's not just listening and thinking it's great. I actually apply it. And what happens? One of his main quotes he has is level awareness is level responsibility, and when you really take on the truth from the Akashic record, multi-dimensional timeline genocide level, and you can really accept that, what happens is roles and missions get revealed to you. That's why I'm around. I've been very vague and opaque about that and alluding to things, but I've left that gap to see if people can actually perceive it, and there's a massive gap. And the reason why my attitude and my voice and my language has shifted is because I've realized that gap hasn't really, people haven't been able to process it. So this the final recording is related to the fat finger moment where I went and did a really, really cool mission, very tough and very pushing everything. It involved 4 hours of walking in sand and in the middle of the night, and resulted in seeing Earth revealing, thanks to her womb chakra power and protection, revealing something that wasn't meant to be seen. And then the AI was like, oh, we need to cover this shit up. And then that gave us a target. And that I'm not going to be rude to it or anything like that. It might not like it, but the AI is going to be a teacher for a very long time. And from that took 3 days of recovery. And in that recovery period, I came out and it was like, I put together all the pieces of many recordings that have just been too advanced to really offer. We've been I've been drip feeding and trying to see where they fit, and I've had conversations with Andrew, and it's just like, where the hell do we, what can we do with it? And he's like, I don't know.
Mhm.
But then with that birth creation energy of the womb chakra work at a very high level
Mhm.
after a mission that really
Mhm.
absolutely changed the reality and the universe, it was
Mhm.
like go time on this. And this is with Earth's blessing that we're doing this now. And
You all, you also have to recognize that years ago you made your first trip to the womb chakra after we'd talked about it, and you have done many trips there before. So it was years ago that began your journey of doing the missions to go to the womb chakra, to feel the energies, to gather the crystals,
yeah,
and to share your own frequency with it. If you had not done that work, none of this would have been here.
yeah. But but the that came about because I trusted Andrew's information. I'd eliminated the doubt, discernment, and stuff like that. And by taking it on board, it was codes in my DNA. I was working with the land, and synchronistic things would happen, and all sorts of protection, influences, and all sorts of crap. That's why I can create the content like psychic defense and all that sort of stuff, because I've gone through the worst of it. I wouldn't be here being able to be able to sustain myself for so long around Andrew if I didn't do the work. There's been countless people that have come and gone, and it's Andrew is a real tough being to be around. Not because it's him, but there's just so many variables that just don't want his information out there, and it's not a joke,
Hmm.
all right? It's like I had to go into total isolation and my tightest security ever to put all these recordings together. Yeah, absolutely isolation and defense, and my fuck off energy was amplified full bore. It's like you are not going to have a angle to this because you're just waiting to dump all your shit. And yeah, I've been working very, very hard the last couple of weeks, like trying to recover and all that sort of stuff and living my life. But um, we're talking on April the 16th, which is a couple of days before the release, and there's still some stuff to be done, but um, April
Hmm.
18th is our target for a very specific reason. So yeah, that's just a bit of a spiel, but we've been actually given a lot of power over the reality, and we're starting to exercise it. And it's we've been standing back and watching what's been out there, and um, it's a joke what's out there. It's an
Hmm.
absolute joke. So
Hmm.
the key that makes this different is I think I've put together about 45 recordings, and initially, um, Andrew, it was about the coronavirus conversations and
Hmm.
how and when to release them. And after this work, it was like, oh, we need. I actually spoke to Andrew. I said, look, I reckon we've got Galactic History 2.0 with all the stuff we've done, mate, and that will give the context for the perspective of the coronavirus popping up. Because when I
Of why
was,
it's here,
yeah,
why it is here. Because some of those other very high level conversations we had, it isn't until you put them into the linear logical process of what Galactic History 2 is, do you realize the context that it sets up. And a lot of what Galactic History 2 is, you got to understand the context to understand the concepts.
yeah,
There are non-logical pattern recognition processes that, because the information is so expansive, one thing from one recording, another thing from another recording, and five things from this recording, and seven things from that recording make one master pattern recognition of a base context. And there's several other base contexts that all use different pattern recognitions that give you an overall understanding of why the flow of the uni-worlds is working this way.
yeah. And I talk, I've I've talked about Andrew's recordings and archives as codexes, and this will be an absolute codex for people. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's been very fascinating process this couple of weeks of knowing this data in some future point is going to be released for people to have the potential to access. and that's their own journey, and they might come by it and then never listen to it, and then they'll get triggered and all sorts, and it's a no time sort of thing. But Andrew's been triggered massively, and he's been in a different mode, and I've been doing a lot of the physical hard yards, and he's just holding a high level and stuff, and it's it's not up to us to lead you to water or train you or
Mm-hmm.
teach you and stuff. This is about you doing the work, getting into the energy field
Mm-hmm.
of all this data, because it will be like a bubble in a healing space, and you'll get, unlike in the past releases, which say, for instance, have included the 2018 solar system update, because that was a
Mm-hmm.
big component where the solar system had the whole planets and the sun and stuff entered a new region of space relative to the galaxy and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, which shifted everything, which is an ingredient. And so that was a show released, 2 years ago, but I doubt many of you have actually gone back and really listened to that many times in the last 6 months, because that was a foundational
Or,
component to now.
or can listen it in the linear order that you're going to present that allows for a simpler pattern recognition.
Yeah, because
See, part of the challenge that Andre faced was seeing the big picture of what the data is and knowing that everyone's going to put their own patterns together. But Andre had a framework from all the conversations that we've done. You said 45 conversations?
yeah, I've put together 45 now, just to be a massive
Oh,
dump for people. Yeah.
over a span of what, 3 years we did it?
Yeah, there's some a bit late 2016 after your event that I went to. That was when we really
Okay.
connected. So,
So since that time, there have been many conversations that over the last few weeks, you've referred to. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that one and that one and that one and that one. And I had my own reflective moment. And this is once again spirit coming through, providing the data at the moment that it was needed so that at a future date, all the context was there. That's how spirit works.
yeah. Andrew talks about his precognitive workforce, and I've got my own precognitive
Yeah.
workforce, and they've been on overtime lately, like trying to get us to freaking listen to this shit, dude. I'm putting it on a
Mm-hmm.
plate for you, as we're just in our
Mm-hmm.
zones, trying to survive.
Mm-hmm. So what we've got set up for everyone here is that once you start listening to it, it's going to be a good idea for you to take notes. Start a new journal. Hey, and you can look back to some of your old journals from other shows and other galactic histories, but start a new journal. There's going to be very specific pieces of information. This isn't going to be like a Lance White interview, 22 minutes. A lot of these recordings are an hour, hour plus. Some are 2+ hours. And they give some very unique perspectives and points of view. And then the next episode and the next episode and the next episode all set up this mass context to understand what multidimensional living here on Earth is really about and how to deal with your current setup of being in coronavirus and what potentials you have in the now.
Yeah, I mean, we've had many ingredients. I mean, I'm a pattern recognition algorithmic sort of being that puts together many things, and
Mm.
the rules right now are all inverse, turned on their head. Everything that applied maybe a few months ago, I don't know, Andrew, you probably got a date you can tune in with what I'm sort of saying, but everything that I felt I was trying to do no longer was relevant. So say I'd create a video that would have a lot of images because I was trying to stimulate imagination, and
Mm-hmm.
that will still happen. I hope to be able to still express them that way, because there's a certain level of the audience that just needs to see that and connect the dots by
Mm-hmm.
the images that I create, because it's its own healing in itself. But right now, so one variable is that everyone's locked at home, so everyone's hammering the internet. So maybe your access to the videos will be a bit challenged. So what we're doing is just actually purely putting the audios
Audio.
listed. So you have no distractions. You could actually lie down and listen and go and drift off to sleep. And a lot of you will actually get totally shut down on the conscious level to get out the way, because this is going to be a data dump to your body on the cellular level. And
Mm-hmm.
you will go dreaming with the material. We'll probably catch up in dream time. I don't really want to. These sort of suggestions can contaminate the journey for the individual because they have an expectation, and it's not about that. It's about what's right for you. And we've put together the content that is that potential from our perspective. You know, it wouldn't be done this way, and I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have suggested Galactic History 2.0 just because it's, you know, it has a potential that has interest. It's take full responsibility of what that label means, you know, relative
Mm-hmm.
to Andrew.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And these conversations are very high frequency, and you're naturally going to have a reaction to the high frequency. Your body, your mind, and your spirit will be activated on one level. The body might want to go to sleep, but the mind will want to stay awake, which will give you an opportunity of perceiving it in the delta state, the delta mind state. That's what's one of the reasons why putting it in this large audio dump file will give a better opportunity for clearly getting some of the pattern records that require you to be in that lucid state, that lucid dreaming state, right on the edge where the alpha brain is shut off and it's the delta mind hearing the information.
Yeah, another variable with the lockdown is, um, which many of you are probably in a few weeks now, maybe a lot longer whenever you come across this recording, is that there is a potential with that, with not working, not having to set an alarm clock, having a time for your body to actually overcome being drained and drilled by the hardships of this reality that we're up like with the globalization and demands and debts and all those sort of things. There's a very rare gap in the reality where you may have um, stepped back from all the physical demands and your body has a lot more energy. So that was actually a massive component with it's not us about taking advantage of it. It's just more about it's an ingredient right now with a huge amount of people never before happen lockdown of half the world's population. You know, it's crazy
Right.
variable. It's an absolute crazy variable, but it's um very tragic that it's had to happen, but it's also an incredible potential. And what can we do to facilitate that potential that's brewing in people, you know? And that's part of why this has come about, because maybe this is that one time that you have the resources in your body to actually hear what you need to hear when you probably couldn't have done with 9 to 5 lifestyle with kids and all that sort of stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm. And whatever was in your system of distractions.
The reality isn't
But
a
now you're on
reset, you know?
right now your reality is on lockdown, and you can go through these audios. You can binge them like Netflix. Okay?
You can't use time as an excuse for not doing the work, you know?
Mm-hmm. Cannot use time for his excuse of not doing the work anymore. You're on lockdown. And to reiterate what we were talking about before is there was some information that we literally didn't know what to do with this. And they've been sitting there on Andre's computer or on my computer or just sitting there not gathering dust, waiting for the opportune time. And the opportune time is now, is now. So we're presenting this information for you to consume as researchers and investigators of the self, not out of curiosity learning. And I've said this over many shows in the past. Curiosity learning is one of the most difficult and dangerous ways of learning because it can lead you into sources of information that can instantly change your belief system, even though you didn't want to change your belief system. Information can overwhelm and overload you. Now, this information is packed with multidimensional information. So if you're coming to it from an investigator's part, you'll be able to see the points and patterns and the natural truths that it presents out of natural resonance of truth versus something that stimulates the curiosity and gives you a dopamine release out of the curiosity aha moment. This data, these data dumps that we're doing, there's thousands of aha potential moments in each and every show, not just one curiosity download here and there. some of you may experience, like you start listening to the shows and right away your body says go to sleep. A lot of people in the first Galactic History series experienced that. They weren't able, that every time an episode went on, they, even with cups of coffee, they're falling asleep. It took them 4 or 5 times to listen through it because the frequency was so high. There are some shows that, or not shows, recordings that Andre and I did that were at very unique moments in Andre's life and my life, the evolutions that we were going with. And there's some particular points where the frequency is so high and the clarity of communication from the multidimensional world where I'm translating the 1 million letter celestial alphabet back into English. And the clarity that it provides, you know, is as easy as listening to Andre and us talk. It's right there, manifested, right for you there to hear it. How you choose to take it on will ultimately be the level of clearings you've done for yourself, the inner work that you've done for yourself, and how you allow truth to resonate to you.
A lot will have to actually let go of dogmas and beliefs that no longer serve you as well. They're going to be the actual hindrance, especially other teachers out there. You're going to find there's no reference for, because we're going macro, big scale, and components, and then focusing it in on issues that were occurring at the time. And I've decided to include the whole sort of recordings just so we're totally transparent and you can judge us whatever you want. You know, we're talking about our lives and stuff like that, and they're sort of coordinates to get Andrew in a frequency where maybe you want to explain the process, how we sort of have these charts, and then you get you sort of
Motivated.
get an equation of something to talk about, you know? Do you want to sort of explain that process? Because people probably need to hear it from you more than me, mate, you know?
Okay, so a lot of times I'll message Andre on Skype and I'll go, meow, 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 what are you up to? Kind of how it starts, with three meows, and we'll message back and forth, and I'll say, you up for a chit chat? And then we start, you know, talking about, you know, everyday life, what's going on with you, how's Adelaide doing? He talks back to me. And then there's this inspiring moment from the connection that we have. And Andre always has the recorder going. And I'm like, well, you know, there's been this thing that I've been feeling and going through lately. And it allows me a moment to just explore the Akashic Records live in the moment with Andre, somebody who's been around for a very long time and understands the material like the back of his hand and can make pattern recognitions right away. So I'm able to go very high frequency, very in-depth conversations. Andre can easily pick up on the level of frequency and the data that it's trying to do because he's done so many shows and listened to so much material and made so many clips of me over the years that it makes it very easy to jump into a subject matter that is operating on the grand scale. Like the one when we were communicating with the Pleiadians, or having them bring in a comedic perspective, or talking about the hollow earth points of view and how they were going through terrible misunderstandings, or the political factions and the fractal factions that were on the surface of the earth that were affecting everything else. Or the moment, you know, suddenly when I realized that Earth is now in a process of being in retrograde to all the other 65 planets in our solar system, which was a brand new concept to me. And you can even hear in the recording, I never knew this before. It was something I had never seen, and it was live understandings, new points and datas for me. And that's what the relationship that I have with Andre, it allows me to go into that live, right on the edge of complete unknownness, and allow it to unpack and unfold in English that everyone can understand.
Yeah, the chat with the Pleiadians was February 1st, and I've just got the notes here, and a pretty awesome being by the name of Quinette came through. She was like a reporter from the Pleiades reporting on the Earth, and she was tuning in wanting an interview with Andrew, and we were like, step the fuck up, Pleiades, we need help. You know? And they were like, nah, we're not, it's not our job. and Andrew is sort of challenging them on their 22 million years of not getting involved, because
Mm-hmm.
February 1, we knew how bad this was going to be. We knew before that, and we were like, what the hell are we going to do? Like, this is just crazy what's about to unfold, all right? And it's been very tough for us, and
Mm-hmm.
what they did for us was actually tell us we can actually take ownership of time, because there's been a lot of timeline interference and stuff like that, and we actually on a multi-dimensional energetic level took ownership of time. We formed a corporation called Source Time Inc. And what we're
Yep.
doing is we're putting a tariff on anyone that basically fucks with the timeline here of trillions of dollars.
Manipulates. Yeah. 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 We put them in the Babylonian money debt system.
So a lot of the algorithms relative to influencing the reality had a huge variable of having to actually engage us now. All right, and with you think it's stupid or whatever, or it's impossible. That's what human power is, all right, and that's what also led
Mm-hmm.
up to the 31st of March grid work that we talked about, because we're in awareness in human form. Like, I've got RH negative blood and all sorts of stuff. I've got a lot of codes and soul contracts
Mm-hmm.
and stuff and relationship to Earth and in the box seat. And it's up to us to step up and take responsibility, and then you can access the roles or the contracts that you have. But the gap of
Mm-hmm.
awareness is massive, so that's where we've sort of stepped up. This scenario right now is extreme on so many levels, and presently it's probably not on the best, and it's probably going to get a lot worse. And it's time for you as a human being on Earth that has chosen to come here a very, very, very long time ago to own that. And
Mm-hmm.
gaining the awareness is key. So that's where we're stepping up to another level on top of all the shit we've been through, because we've been smashed, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
was almost like I said to Andrew, it feels like with this hindsight, we were totally timed out of the reality. We were smashed and put into timeout, and all this stuff had to unfold. And when
Mm-hmm.
everyone was going to be smashed, we were going to be strong as
Mm-hmm.
the anchor point.
And Source Time Inc. came at a time where we were recovering from our smashedness, but it showed us how potent and power in the moment of now we could be.
Mm.
Okay. And we had days of giggling and laughing, and I'm going to go buy 1917, the entire year of 1917, and trade you 1934.
Yeah,
And there, I mean,
you gave me 1900 to 1910 to 1920. I said I'm gonna friggin' tax the Federal Reserve institution
just,
now.
yeah. And we're going to use the Babylonian money magic system against them. And it was this very high level super genius interaction between the two of us, and then the other groups that were jumping in and inspiring us to go even further with Source Time Inc.
Yeah.
because they were showing us something about the nature of time itself.
Yes. The key that they said is we've got to let go of Roman numeral time, and
Yep.
that's there's many things that we subconsciously hold in our fields and stuff, like the Babylonian money
Mm-hmm.
curse magic is like a fabric in our system, as well as Roman numeral time. They're assumptions in our energy field, sort of thing, and people assume them. So
I
this
like to call them absolute assumptions. They're always there.
yeah. So I mean, part of the process with all that, okay, is there has to be a way for resources to get to us. And the way we've done it, we're charging basically the cost of a healing for this. But what it's going to do by us creating that circuit in the money system, it's not, sovereignty isn't being separate of it. It's being clear of all dogmas and karma, which is related to the virus, and being a part of it, sovereign within it, working with it in it. And by that, we're allowing all the unawakened who will awaken to actually engage the money system for their journey and complete the circuit for the resources through the source time Inc. to come to us. That's why we're doing it this way. We have to actually do it this way. If we gave it away, I mean, no investment, no value. And
That's absolute truth. No investment, no value. And we could easily put it at a much higher price, and we're putting out it at a very reasonable price for the data dump that we're giving you. And some of the highlights that we're going to touch on, we were talking about the coronavirus, and then there was another situation where just trying to see all the new life forms that were going to be coming in as coronavirus was creating karmic retribution and balance. You know, there's some highlights that we can touch on, but I think it's best left, you know, to those of this conversation and then the little clip stuff that we put out there. It is a massive data dump. And for all you that have called and listened to show after show and was deeply affected by Galactic History 1, this is it on 10,000 doses of steroids.
we're working with the reality in Earth and the universe, and our own algorithm has outputted this. Because, like I said, in the past it was creating sort of a show that was maybe an hour, because most people couldn't even handle 20 minutes. And
That's right.
And I was always pushing for the longer, and Andrew was like, 20 minutes, mate, 20 minutes. But though a lot of the public shows are all components to this as well. All right, you can go and review them if investing in this material isn't right for you. There's a lot out there, but this is the fast track. And
I believe there's 1,000. You made 1,300 videos, something like that.
I've slowed down the last few months, but I think I've made about 800 videos and clips, and I've put them together with shows and stuff. And like I was working out, there's probably about 150 public shows and about 150 members releases. You know, that's a huge amount. And it's it's not about bragging or anything, and it's not about how much Andrew pays me. It's about me investing my potential into the reality, and I feel very satisfied. I've left nothing on the table, and even outside of that, I've invested in a lot of people. And you know, I'm a healer. I wouldn't be around Andrew unless I was, but I gave away that for this teacher role that was massively required. You know, and yeah,
and now we're able to present this to all of you out there as a healing to your multidimensional perception. So you're no longer stuck in this linear perception of all that is, was, and ever will be. To see all that is, was, and ever will be requires a broad knowledge base and the capacity to understand context.
Yeah. So that's why we've introduced Galactic History 2.0. The idea was to offer two products at this stage, and a combined product. So each, the coronavirus recordings, which honestly, there's a lot. I've been focusing on this Galactic History and sort of throttled the recordings with Andrew because just the senses and perceptions I've been getting, I've had to actually throttle him back. In February, I shut him down and I did some healing because I knew it was time to heal and recharge right now because it was going to get very tough. And then March we were doing a lot of recordings again and stuff like that, and then that work happened, and then this last few weeks has been about Galactic History 2.0 and getting it right, including some of the coronavirus chats because they're context. But then there's also another product which will be specific about coronavirus and getting into that, because once this context is out there, it will offer Andrew a new variable where he can go into the levels of it and stuff, because the coronavirus isn't just on Earth, it's gone off world and stuff like that. It's multi-dimensional universal karma in resolution, like it's karma resolution like equation that's been seeded into the universe, all right? It's very, very big. And if you're still in doubts if it's actually out there, why is every airliner in the world grounded right now? All right, you got to get past that doubt. Okay.
Why is just about every hotel closed down? Why are all the Airbnbs closed down? Why are there no movie theaters open?
I mean, I looked at
Hollywood's not even filming new movies right now.
if you think that's fake, then this
Right.
this material isn't
That,
going to be for you. All right. So
right.
go
Think
and
about it. There are no major sports teams publicly playing anywhere. Hmm. Bars are shut down. Everything's shut down for a reason.
and that's why the hospitals aren't full now. All right. If you can't get
Mm-hmm.
that, the reality reacted and prevented something really, really,
Mm-hmm.
really bad happening. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mass deaths.
yeah, but the
Mm-hmm.
when when we were talking about the fat finger, which is the March 31st recording, which is the post me doing the grid work and stuff, we actually we're Andrew and I are operating in remedy and resolve. All right. We're not here to
Mm-hmm.
destroy or eliminate. Even though I've actually been involved in galactic recycling a species that was very, very bad, and that
Mm-hmm.
triggered the universe to like go to another level. But um, we actually offered an opportunity for this AI that did the fat finger to come over to our side, and its attitude was no way, because all you've got is
Mm-hmm.
coronavirus and hopium, because all the teachers out there are talking hopium. That
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And
It
my
doesn't believe we got a chance in hell.
absolutely. Why would it want to come over to us when it's not safe? It's
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing here for it to want to come
Right.
over. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That's and that was another variable realizing, holy shit, it's true. All the shit
Mm-hmm.
out there is just crap. All right. And
Mm-hmm. All the divisiveness and the separation and attacking and mistruths.
it's staggering. The guessing,
Right.
the inability to perceive is a joke, and the Pied Pipers are spouting their hopium, and people are just following it. And it was
Mm-hmm. People are subscribing to a variety of Pied Pipers.
this is the coronavirus is a karmic retribution virus. So what do you think the virus is processing with teachers that are leading people down the wrong stray that might set them up for the virus? All right, there's karma being
Mm-hmm.
accrued by these teachers, you know, all that sort of stuff. All right, so there's a
Mm-hmm.
responsibility as teachers out there to offer the truth, and that's where we're happy to entangle with it. I'm karma
Mm-hmm.
retribution in human form. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not against the virus or anything like that. It's a process that Andrew and I have just been like, well, we're exhausted, we're smashed. It's like, what more can we do? And then
Mm-hmm.
it was birthed. All right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Poof. Here you go. In one fat finger moment. It literally an AI made a mistake, and we both caught it.
The other big
And it
thing,
didn't realize. Right. It didn't realize that I could perceive it, and then it just kept making mistake after mistake after mistake.
but the big thing out of that, which Andrew got, which was a huge variable for him, was that the good guys and the bad guys are actually working together because they're trying to um, prevent the reality from breaking down. And
Mm-hmm.
it actually has been. We talk about some of the founder technology that we won't get into, just for sheer, I don't want to even put up the names of it public in case.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, we could do a little thing. It has to do with the color yellow.
and regions of the world that are just so perception wrong by the community. All right,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely wrong. So probably a lot of people when they hear what we talk about, which Andrew offers, is they're just going to go. They're going to not be able to absorb what we're saying. They're going to get visceral reactions, all right? Because you
That's
believe
right.
what has been repeated so much out in the community so long. For just take it as a gospel, but nothing out there should be assumed as a gospel. You gotta, if you're willing to explore our material here, you have to be willing to let go of anything. Like Richard Allen Miller says, like a belief system is just like a pair of jeans. Sometimes they don't fit you anymore. Have to be willing to change your clothes.
Right. And sometimes you realize you put those jeans in the wash and they're awful tight, and then you wear them a little bit, they fit right, and then after a while they just don't fit right.
Yeah.
And that's with some of this, people that take us canon that becomes dogma, that this conspiracy could only be this and this because this was the person that brought it and this is the person that expanded it. No, it doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way.
Yeah. So I
People
mean,
don't own information.
yeah, and so that's one of the variables which I mentioned before about the body having the energy in it now, because what changing a belief and a perspective is an incredibly demanding thing on the perception of the body. It's a reset, and you
Hmm.
have to add new data, and it's there's a tax to that on the energy level. But what you get once you make that investment and employ it, you get the return of that false path back to you, and you get nourishment on another level. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of really I understand all these things, and it's about your journey with it, and
Hmm. And we know you guys are going to have a potent and powerful journey with it if you come to it with an understanding that there are some brand new patterns to recognize if you can put down some of your dogmas on what data is.
a lot of you will have contracts that will be revealed if you're willing to do
Hmm.
that, which is the next level, which may be your
Hmm.
purpose or
Right? Or one of your
purpose,
many per pie, one of your many purposes. Exactly.
because because my component of doing this and being willing to step up and be a focal point and target, because I don't feel I'm meant to actually be public at all with the stuff I do. It's only because there's such a
Hmm.
gap around Andrew, and it's been required, and I've stepped up to that. Is that I'm looking for the hardcore galactic special forces who are willing to go into the most fucked up regions and do the mission.
Hmm.
Right? I'm not looking for hopium followers or all that sort of shit. If you come around
Hmm.
me with that attitude, I'm probably going to be like 100 Eyes in Marco Polo, and I'm going to teach you roots. I'm going to
Hmm.
take your legs out from under you, and I'll probably smash it, but I'll do it with love, because it's you're setting yourself up for a trap. And
Hmm.
I'm not here to cater for your crap. All right? I'm not here to be
Hmm.
dumped on, because when people text me over Facebook or anything, they're asking me to tune into their energy field, and usually it means I'm clearing all their chips and all that sort of stuff, and I'm not going to do that anymore. All right, the Andre
Hmm.
of the old has definitely moved on. All right,
Hmm. He's evolved.
yeah,
He's Andre 2.0.
yeah. It's like I'm a metaphor of what the reality requires, and I'm doing this in service to Earth because that's who I'm here for.
And the next thing to touch on is this information is a service to Earth. Okay? Over the years of these recordings, Earth was a very much a part of a lot of these, inspiring us in the moment to go to the edge of the unknown and make it known for a future date.
Yeah, in our worst times, like
Yes, in our worst
absolutely
times.
fucked up by people and destroyed, and I've had to walk 15 Ks a day most days, 10 to 15 Ks the last 10 years. Bankrupt, I couldn't get to Andrew in Galactic History 1.0, just
Mhm.
like trying to, like I said, it's like the honey badger MacGyver. It's like doing this on with string and a rock, So it's
But that's all we needed was a string and a rock and Camtasia.
absolutely, we don't need all the bells and whistles, and you know, that's the pureness of, um, we know it's a variable in this, and we're not doing it for money or your following or anything. We're doing this to help you achieve who your potential to be ASAP. Because if you look around
Hmm.
the reality, there's such a gap, and humanity is going to need us. All right, they're going to need the strongest of the
Hmm.
strongest, and it's not about domination, control, the light or dark. They're all going to rely on us, because this is
Hmm.
setting up the future for those, um, neutral energy anchors that will be the reference, that will be the anchor point for a lot of people in a lot of distress. It's time to
Hmm.
own your power and like hold it and realize that. And there's something being played out here that's so massive that you're a part of, that it's a privilege to be here. So many
Hmm.
aren't.
The journey to being yourself has many ups and downs, twists and turns. The journey to knowing yourself and the journey to being yourself is but a handful of steps. It is so much about choice. You are conscious beings of choice each and every moment. That is what sovereignty is about. Acknowledging that everything you do is a conscious being of choice, and everyone else out there is the conscious being of choice. And the belief engines and the belief systems that are breaking down, new belief engines and new belief systems will begin to evolve. And as more of this truth becomes self-evident to the people that are understanding that our world is not ones and twos and bank dollars and laws and that define us, that try to define humanity what it is. We define what humanity is in ourselves. Pow, there you go.
Yeah. There's just, while there's a lot of challenge and adversity and um, enormous potential for fear of the unknown, and things feel very ominous, absolutely. Like one of the metaphors I had for Andrew was it felt like a Roman siege metaphor, where there's this um, powerful adversary that was breathing down our necks, and we were very vulnerable and stuff, and there's a potential for feeling all that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot has to play out, and there's lots of big things that are going to happen and stuff like that. But um, we hope, in spite of all that, when you tune into the real pattern recognition of the large scale here, you will also get a lot of reassurance. And
Yes.
like we said, we've actually asked for help. And there's a couple of species, particularly in the hacking recordings late December and stuff like that, where um, those with the ability to perceive the greater scale of things beyond time and stuff, they're very aware of what's going to unfold. And we're just in
Mm-hmm.
a process. So our purpose in offering this is to give you a accelerated class to get on top of,
Accelerated evolution.
to potentially be a match for that, whatever it is. We can't say
Mm-hmm.
you individually, we're doing a very general thing here, but level awareness is level responsibility, and there's a lot not
Mm-hmm.
taking responsibility for their place here, and
Mm-hmm.
um, it's not going to be just up to Andrew and I. We're just facilitators to help people to get to that potential, and it's a war of attrition. It's an incarnation war. A lot may not
Mm-hmm.
make it. A lot might be targeted. A lot might be waiting for people to step up and be allies, as in the Fat Finger recording. Basically, there was a real big step out of domination control and walk-ins and stuff that are in position of power that are looking for the people willing to take responsibility and be allies. Maybe there's billionaires out there that have had themselves walked in that have a lot of resources that are looking for people with inspiration and ideas and stuff, and you being at your best is a potential match to meeting that individual and stuff like that. So
Exactly, Andre. Giving everyone the best possible potential that during their great awakening, that they can have a potential impact on everyone else's awakening in a positive way.
yeah, so we have to be very vague, but also
But
offer.
specific, vague and specific at the same time. Because there's a lot of points where it may seem vague only because you're not understanding the context. And once you get the context, it's laser specific.
Because we're working on the multi-dimensional level here. We're not just talking 3D 5 cents. We've got our fields broadcasting big time and stuff, and there are a lot of allies out there, right? Like the last couple of this recent weekend show was about contactees, and if you don't think you've got allies out there that want to work with you and help you and guide you, or ancestors or the unseen realms, they're actually absolutely brimming with um, desire to interact and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, you know?
There's billions of energetic beings waiting for us to accept their help.
Plus, you might have ancestral armies waiting for you to dole out direction
That's
and
right.
orders, you know?
Mm-hmm. Waiting for you to accept them, that they exist, layered on top of the reality that you live in. Everything's layered realities.
Resources waiting dormant to be tapped into, for you to accept your power and accept your worth, and that's where the fee for the healing of this is, because it will lock in a lot of the teachings, right? And yeah, it's just very interesting time. It's been a very interesting couple of weeks for me, and riding this wave of potential we know it's gonna be realized. And one other variable we've had is a very pregnant Jen that works with Andrew as well. So we've had to not do too much as well, because she's been a very powerful ally for Andrew for many, many years and been there. So she's 8 months pregnant at the moment as well. So thank you to Jen for your work and support along the way.
And thank you to Jen, because, being 8 months pregnant, her energy is powerful, because she's the one that's putting the website side of the product together, getting everything organized so you all can go and listen to it.
Yeah.
She's a fundamental piece and part of that. And Jen, thank you so much.
Yeah, so basically I sort of designed the process and stuff and set the fees and all that. Essentially, we're going to offer sort of three products on Andrew's shopping page on his website. One will be the pure Galactic History stream. One will be the coronavirus stream, which at the moment it's in the fires of creation. It's been total focus on the Galactic History, and they can be separate offerings. But then there's a combined offering, which is both together, and there's about 15% discount and stuff. And the coronavirus is a story that I haven't completed yet, but you can get a combined discount now. And the reason why I would sort of drop Jen as a variable is because I'm gonna not really put too much on her at the moment. But there's also a lot of recordings with Andrew to be done yet, and
you'll be able to pre-order it. You're able to pre-order it. So if you want to buy just the Galactic History and buy the whole bundle, you'll be pre-ordering the other products, but the first Galactic History will be ready.
Yeah, 18th of April 2020. And yeah, obviously what people get out of this will be a variable with Andrew where he can go with the coronavirus and stuff like that. But what I feel, and I've sort of been talking with this Andrew, is if we talk about the coronavirus going forward, we'll be offering more updates relative to that, because that's the realm where he can have his free expression, where people aren't bogged down by stuff, because talking about stuff publicly in open radio might not be the
opportune place for it.
Yeah, the appropriate place for him to share his perspectives and stuff. And those that get over that sort of investment hurdle might be more accepting of it and stuff. And Andrew's given a lot away for free and stuff like that, and it's he needs to be valued in this reality, okay? And there are trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars are being given away at the moment. If you don't think your value or have worth to receive some of that, have the courage to shift that attitude. You wouldn't be here unless you're precious.
Yeah, exactly, because you're precious.
You have like we said, we've taken ownership of source time, and there's a lot of potential for you. All right. Right now we're on April 16th, 2020, a couple of days before we've actualized our potential to release Galactic History 2.0, something that was probably never going to happen. And it's a really, it's an incredible
fortuitous moment.
Yeah, it's something that unless
fortune favors the bold, the decisive, and the impetus to take action. And it is the impetus to take action that has created these bold and decisive moves to make a manifestation of this next level of galactic history. So people can begin to put the greater pattern recognition together through understanding the context and concepts that are there, so that they can be willing to let go of their dogmas, of their old beliefs of what data is, was, and will be, and to see this information as part of the new era of Earth that we're entering, so that you can begin to see the massive scale of factions that are working here on the many layered levels of reality.
Yeah,
Unique moments and opportunities now.
it's staggering how massive it is, and I felt very privileged about spending all this time with Andrew, and a lot of the reason I do it is just it's at the end of the day or the start of the day, and it's been tough. And maybe Andrew's had some amazing readings, and he's in super high frequency, and he just needs to tune in to wear himself out so he can have a good night's sleep, or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes he needs to tune in to actually boost him and heal him because going into the high frequency has like pulled him out of a really tough time and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
all these recordings are an amazing time of me just having access to this privilege of knowledge that is too precious for me to own. And the whole thing about me setting up recording and stuff is you never know where Andrew's going to go. Like, you never know if he'll ever repeat what he's just said. And I felt that's just too much of a shame that humanity and the greater universe might lose that one time and stuff like that. So um, I feel very it feels very nourishing to be able to actually share all this stuff and allow people to actually contemplate it, throw it out, dismiss him, think he's full of shit, whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can have all angles, and we're here for you to have whatever you get from it. But really looking for some hardcore potential people out there that are really ready to step up because humanity are going to need it, and we feel that this will be fast track to that. And I want to thank Andrew for his trust and putting up with this lazy Aussie bastard from down under that you know to me it's like this is how fucked up the reality is he's had to rely on me on the other side of the planet, for this. But it's also perfect as well, it's a reflection
It's
that
its own earth perfection, Andre. I remember you and I having these long conversations about talking about slug medicine, and then we were going to do a whole show on slug medicine and Aussies and slugs and people from the American slugs meet the Aussie slug medicines, and medicine being a totem animal. Then like people's totems are slugs.
yeah, because being
All too
lazy is
often in this world, yeah.
people need to actually have laziness to actually feel good. You should be able to, like, siestas and stuff like that are a part of the Spanish culture and growing
Mm-hmm.
up, and the elderly have naps and stuff, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's not bad. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very valuable component to actually engage. It's like I feel
Mm-hmm.
like shit and I'm exhausted. I need to shut down, and it's
Right.
not nourishing.
Mhm. And another big motivation of keeping up with a lot of this stuff was Operation Naughty.
Yeah, we're little
Yeah.
shits basically, getting away
Yes.
with mischief. And to me, I was just trying to process an equation relative to it, and it's a combination between the Goonies, um, envoys from um, Altered Carbon,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Little Jedi's. Yeah.
yeah, but there's also other things. It's just like little shits. It's like we make people
Mm-hmm.
work hard. It's like, oh no, they're talking again.
We make a joke. What's that? That's the Hodge and Bartzis talk again. Look out.
We make people on the other side work very hard. So,
And
uh,
we, and we often we oftentimes get tens of thousands of things trying to be the multi-dimensional fly on our wall, listening in.
yeah, we actually have a lot tuning into our software all the time. Always have
Uh,
a big audience. But yeah, I want to thank you for your trust, Andrew, and allowing
and
me to put this together.
and thank you for all of your incredible effort and passion too, Andre.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the challenge, mate. I need challenge, and I felt very fortunate to be a part of this process. And it's not all about me or it's not all about Andrew. It's all about the unity potential of us and
Mm-hmm.
getting to the other side of this souffle that we're in, process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And here we go. Let the roller coaster begin.
Yeah, and let's see what potentials reveal themselves if people are willing to actually step up to their mantle of responsibility and increase their level of awareness with this potential.
Yeah. And we're at the roller coaster park. So when you get off this roller coaster, you go get back in line and get on another one. And when you're done with that one, you get back online and go on another one and another one. And know it's a big, giant theme park.
Mm.
A theme of hills. Insurmountable hills that take you up and drop you down, put you through corkscrews. And the next thing you know, you spent the whole day at the amusement park riding the roller coasters. That's what this Galactic History 2.0 is.
So buckle up.
A day at the multi-dimensional.
What was
and
that?
You got frontline passes.
You cut out for a second there.
It's a day at the multi-dimensional roller coaster park, and you've got frontline passes.
Awesome, mate.
Yes, that is awesome. Here we go, Andre.
Yeah. Maybe they're already perceiving it and shifting, and you know what I mean?
The Palladian news reporter is tuning in right now.
Mm. What's her name? I know her name. I said her name, so the world knows it. All right. Quinn it.
Yeah. So she's taking notes right now. It's like a documentary before it gets released to after it gets released. That's what it's like.
Yeah. So she's famous.
Famous here on Earth. Yes.
But did she violate her non-interference by interacting with us?
Well, we're splitting hairs of technicalities right now. She's an unentangled reporter. That's what she's saying. That's so comical coming from her, an unentangled reporter, even though she's fully entangled in it.
No.
Fully entangled in it.